Today I would like to talk about a pen I have already covered in my videos in which I give an overview of my fountain pen collection, but I really like this pen, so I thought it would warrant a review of its own in which I can discuss details a little bit more detailed. So we'll talk about the Visconti Opera Elements, which came in the most amazing box I've ever seen. My Yardle lead came in a wooden box, which was, I think, the coolest box I've ever seen, but this one came in the most amazing box, which looked like this, which looks like alligator leather or snake leather or something. It is imitation, which is, well, probably better, I guess, but it's cool beyond belief, right? And it's big too. I mean, this is a Namiki Falcon, so this is a really big box. When you open it, it holds two things and a third thing, which just fell out. I'll come back to that in a second. I just picked it up. So it holds two actual things, a bottle of ink and a pen. Now the bottle of ink, oh, that's really weird ink. Yeah, it was just a bottle of black Visconti ink. It didn't come in the beautiful bottles they make. It just came in a pretty cheap plastic bottle, which was a bit of a disillusionment, let's put it that way. This is not the ink. I poured out the ink. The ink was black. Nothing particularly special. I've seen nicer black inks, but it was okay. I just put some bleach and water in here, which is useful if you clean certain pens. You may see these little markings on the side. That's just to put 1/4 bleach on 3/4 of water. So let's forget that for now. The pen itself, of course, but what I also would like to show you is that if you close it and you go this way, then there is this little like nib-like thing. You can pull it out, and then out comes this little drawer with a booklet, which is extremely cool. It is like full color print, and it shows you sort of the history of Visconti, the lineup, the different pens, how to fill it, everything you want to know is in there. So I thought that was really cool. I mean, it's expensive to print this, so it's really cool that you get something like a full color catalog history like thing with it. The pen. I will cover so this was the Visconti Opera Elements, right? I will cover this in sections. Let's start with the cap. Let's start with the very tip of the pen, the final part of the cap. It's got my initials on it. Wow, isn't that cute? Yeah. How does that work? Well, it's pretty simple. Visconti has something called the My Pen system, which is a system that allows you to customize this part of the pen. How does that work? Well, fairly simply, actually. This is just a tack, you used to put posters on the wall with, and the pen is magnetic, so that'll just stick to it. Now, what's the use of that? Well, it's very useful. The pen came with this little thing. Now you can't really see it, and it's too small for me to hold. I'll just try and put it on there so you can see it a little better. Nothing fancy. This is the Visconti logo. You can just take that off, and you can put on anything else you like. So I put on my initials as B, but you could also put on your star sign, or I think even some gemstones. You can just buy them separately and you can put them on, or the person in the shop can do that for you, which is really nice because it allows you to customize the pen, right? And as far as I know, this is maybe the only brand that allows you to do that, which is really cool. The second thing that's really cool is the clip. The clip does not only have this arch-like shape, which is, I think, is kind of cool. It has the Visconti name on it. You can probably just see it, but it's also spring-loaded, so that's kind of cool. If you put this in a shirt pocket, you don't have to be afraid of your shirt being damaged, because you can just put it in, and when you pull it out, this opens up a little bit, and your shirt will be completely unharmed, which is cool. Now, on this metal ring, I don't think you can read this, but on the metal ring there, it says opera. As in opera, as in fat lady singing. not as in opera Winfrey. It's like opera, like Italian, like whatever. So this is the Opera Elements. That's why it has opera on there. And this is the red version. Excuse me. So I think there was also a black version, which I think would have been cool too, and there was a blue one, and I think there was a fourth color, which I can't remember from the top of my head. In any case, I like the red. It really looks like marble, this deco. Very nicely lacquered. So this pen is made of celluloid, not resin. That's one of Visconti's like parade things. They use celluloid, and it's nice. It's I think a bit heavier than resin, and it's really nice to hold. It's super smooth, and it really gives this nice marble-like effect, which I like a lot. Something about the design of this pen. This is not a round pen. Most pens are completely round, right? Like this Visconti Falcon. That's just a round, completely round pen. This is square, and I think you can see it best if you look at this end cap. You see that? It's square. Now it's not entirely square because these edges have been chiseled. So it's like square with the corners cut off. And that gives a really nice effect. And that may sound like it's uncomfortable to hold, but that's not the case at all. It's really pleasant to hold, to write with. So that's kind of cool. Now, a final thing about the cap, it's neither screw on nor click on. It's to open it you have to make a half turn, and then you pull it off. And why is that? Well, it has one very specific reason. The chiseled edges have to align, and the only way to align them is to create a system like this. You can see these notches on the barrel, and they just ensure that no matter which way you put the pen in, you give it a half turn or maybe quarter turn, and then these notches will align, which is really, really cool. It just looks cool. Let's take a look at the pen. I don't think you can see a lot of detail on the nib. My webcam is probably not going to pick that up. But it's bicolored. There is 14 karat gold, and there is another metal, which I'm not sure what it is actually, but it's bicolored. It has some very nice design on it. It has the Visconti logo. It has 14K on it because it's 14 karat gold, and it has 585 on it. And I have no idea what that means, but it looks very nice. It's a super smooth writer. The 14 karat gold is brilliant. It slides across the paper. There is no resistance whatsoever, and it's actually a bit flexy. Now, I don't use this as a flex pen. I don't even think it's semi-flex, but it is a fairly soft nib, so you can really get some line variation. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. The grip section is tapered. I love tapered grip sections because they're better for me. I tend to hold the pen a little high, and if a section has absolutely no tapering to it, then as I write, I'll start there, and then my hand will just slide up all the way. It just well, all the way. I mean, I don't actually write like this, but you know, I'll end up here or something. And because it's tapered, it's less tempting for me to do so. However, it is untextured. There is no texture on this. It's just smooth metal, and some people don't really like that. I have no problems with it, and because it's just the right size for me, this is not, as I think I said so, this is not truly oversized. Some Visconti pens are really large. This is not that large. To give you an idea, the Visconti next to a Visconti Falcon, which I just have lying around here, yeah, it's not truly oversized, but it's not that small either. So for me, I have fairly large hands. This is a really good size. Let's unscrew this for a moment. The converter, I thought, was fairly large. I don't know whether the capacity is particularly large, but I do think the entire converter is pretty big. One thing I really like is that it is a screw-in converter, which means that you cannot just... oh, there's quite a lot of ink going on there. That's typical. Well, anyway, let me just put this in here before I get ink everywhere. The converter screws in, which means you cannot accidentally pull it out. Ink accident! I'm reaching for some cloth. Where is it? Oh. That's typical. Well, in any case, it's a small matter. I'll clean it later. You can't accidentally pull out the converter, which is good. Recently I had an accident in which I pulled out the converter and I dropped it. And it hit the floor with this part, and ink splattered everywhere. On my clothes, on my shoes, on the floor. You don't want that to happen. And it doesn't happen with this pen, because this is screwed in. You can't pull it out. It's in really snugly and securely. So that's really cool. So, I bought this pen during Christmas 2010. It is now September 2011, so I've had it for nearly a year, and I have written with it quite a bit. It's tremendous. It's really, really, really nice. As I said, super smooth, very fluent writer, and I like it a lot. Also, it tends to bring out shading very well. If you have an ink that's prone to shading, it's amazing. So, I'm going to show you how it writes next. I put in some Cherubin Lit de Thé, which is a brown greenish color. I like it a lot. It has quite some shading, and in this pen I think it looks awesome. So I'm going to show you that next. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so let's have a look at writing with the Visconti Opera Elements. This is, as I said, a medium nib, so the line should be somewhere along the medium spectrum. However, it is my experience that this, well, what Visconti calls medium is on the broad side. So let's try and do some writing. I really love the way this pen brings out shading, because the nib is broadish. You can really see a difference in, ink shades. As you can see, it's wet. It's really possible to lay down a lot of ink very quickly, which I like a lot. It has some flex to it. This is no pressure, and now I'll add pressure. Alright, he didn't like that. There we go again. I'll tap it a little. There we go again. So, it's not meant to be used as a flex pen, so you see if I apply a lot of pressure it tends to dry out a little. That's fine. Quickly restored. A very, very smooth writer. I can't stress that enough. If I do this, then there is absolutely no resistance. The pen just floats across the paper, which I like a lot. What more can I show you? Move the camera a little bit. There we go. Maybe some more flex stuff. Again, what you see here is the extreme shading going on. You've got really dark ink here, very light ink there. Some people don't like that. I love it. I love shading. I love the way that sort of adds to your writing. Yeah, really, really great pen. I love the way it feels. It's really comfortable to hold. I think it's just the right size for me. The only thing I never do with this pen is posting it, because I think that's a little much. And because of the square shape, you can do it. But then the weight tends to be really towards the back of the pen in a way I don't really like. I think that unbalances the pen a little bit. So, what more can I say? Thanks. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.